call the Plan Commission meeting to order. Can we have a roll call, please?
Matthias.
Here.
Boskeljohn.
Here.
Split.
Here.
Mayor McCoy.
Is there a motion to approve tonight's agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve tonight's agenda.
Second.
Any discussion? In favor of approving the agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's approved. Is there a motion to approve the minutes from April 17th meeting?
I'll make a motion to approve April 17th meeting.
Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the minutes from April 17th, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's approved. All right, we'll start our first of two public hearings. Time is now 7:01. I'll open the public hearing on the conditional use permit submitted by Victoria Hilgart for 1025 Mattoman Street. Is Victoria here? No. If not, Adam, do you want to just give a brief summary on this one?
So per the zoning code, section 20.12040C, there's no parking in the front plane of a residential structure, but for the ability to get a conditional use to allow such parking. So notice was sent out. Their request is to widen the driveway for parking with crushed gravel or concrete. And you can kind of see, here's the map, and they have a little notch out to park in the front plane of the driveway. Sue also talked to the applicant. I don't know if you have any other summaries, but pretty simple ultimately.
Yeah, and it follows the ordinance. It's got to have a 60-degree free turn at the end of the driveway there. Yeah, they were parking on the lawn, and police officer stopped and said, hey, it's in violation. So she contacted me right away, and I said, yep, you need a conditional use. And so that's why we're here.
That's Mattoman Street, so there's no parking on the road, period, correct? Okay.
And the crushed gravel is an appropriate material?
They have to use concrete or asphalt. It's got to be a hard surface.
They note in the application with crushed gravel or concrete,
Yeah.
so I think we'd have to
We'll have to make
make
a
it.
motion that is concrete.
No other registered comment regarding the application.
We've done these in the past. Is there any issue from building inspector or legal?
No, it was passed back in 18 for this specific purpose, and was very particular as to what type of surface and what width would be permitted, and the angle and all that was included. So it's here for that particular purpose, and I think it's relevant that there's no parking in Mattoman Street.
I'll make a motion to approve.
We gotta first close the public hearing.
Sorry.
There's no one has signed up. If no one would like to speak on this matter,
Traumatized.
hearing no one else wanting to speak, I'll close the public hearing at 7:04. Mark?
I would like to make a motion to approve the application for conditional use with a modification that it is concrete or I believe it's asphalt per the ordinance for the parking surface.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the conditional use permit with concrete or asphalt, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That is approved. All right, next we'll have a public hearing for a conditional use permit at 1233 Fond du Lac Street, Street, submitted by Matt Rogatz. The time is, we'll call it 7:05, and call it public hearing open. Matt?
Yeah.
If you would like to present
Sure.
what your plans are,
Where you want me?
wherever you like.
Okay, I'm over here. So, my name's Matt Rogatz. I have about a 15-acre site at 1233 Fond du Lac. The site's been vacant for quite some time, from what I understand. It's mostly wooded, different terrain, and my goal with the site is to have a outdoor adventure area for people to enjoy and have. Laser tag is the phase one of the project, which could be as early as late summer, early fall. Probably most likely will go into spring of next year. Laser tag, I don't know if you guys know about laser tag, but it's basically a gun with a light coming out of the gun. It doesn't make a noise, it doesn't have a shooting sound like paintball. So my goal with this is not to interrupt the neighborhood and the area and the community. It's more of a silent use. So I'm trying to be the least offensive to the community, and I want to respect the community and their surrounding neighbors. So we're trying to minimize the effect of what we're doing. So laser tag would be phase one. Phase two would be some sort of obstacle course and possibly looking at zip lining, and then also looking at maybe BMX bike paths through the parcel, and then maybe even down the road glamping. So kind of a glorified camping. So not a lot of noise to the community, but hopefully more enjoyment is the goal. So taking a underutilized parcel and having it be productive and bring people to the community and helping the community be better, in my opinion. So that's the proposal.
All right, does anyone have any questions for Matt before I have the others speak? After they speak, I'll definitely call you back up for questions.
Okay.
But
Yeah, I used to play paintball as a younger kid. And I know when you're running through the woods, it's pretty easy to kind of go outside the bounds of where you think you may be. What is your plan for kind of delineating your property, your area for that? I know laser tag is a little bit different, but just...
Still, there are people running around, right?
Yep.
Good question. So there's, and I'm not an expert in this field, right? I have a lot of property in Green Lake, Wisconsin. We're doing a lot of great things in Green Lake. I want to bring them to Ripon, but from what I envision, I see markings throughout the whole property. It's 15 acres. So that's a lot of property, right? So what I'm going to do is have markings throughout saying out of bounds, right? Do not pass, because we do have neighbors that we have to respect their property, right? We can't go on their property. I don't want to go on their property. I want to actually bring it in so that if the property line's here, I want to have the sign here, okay? So there's no even close interference with a neighbor. So that's, and we have, I think I have 12 neighbors, 15 neighbors throughout. So I have a lot of neighbors. So I have to respect the neighbors. So I want to keep it self-contained, and I will identify those markings. So the first thing would be signs, out of bounds, do not go out. And then if necessary, I would have to put up a fence. But that's a big fence for 15 acres. So cost prohibitive.
I've seen that bright orange snow fence used in different areas to great effect, just as a...
I would do that. I mean,
idea.
the least expensive, I would look at doing if the markings didn't
Yep.
work. Anyone else?
all right. In that case, first we have signed up is Joe and Lindsay Michaels for the Those who are speaking tonight, I'm going to ask that you keep it within 5 minutes. Quite a few people have signed up. And be respectful of our guests and the other people in the room. So,
Sure. I'm just going to give you guys some of the bullet points that I have on the talking points here, if you guys want to pass them around. Our biggest concern, Matt, kind of falls in line with what you're saying. We've enjoyed the wildlife and the nature in that area, and that's basically what we don't want to see a loss of, right, is that space. For us, I've always envisioned that property somewhat like Southwoods, but if you're not familiar with it, it's a hiking trail that's got residential in the area, and it's open, it's a nice place. We've just never had the means to make that happen yet, but it's kind of in our picture, so. I think it's a interesting proposal for a unique property, right? There's not a lot on the highway that it's B2 right now. A lot of the property is pushed back, almost 3/4 of that property is back there. We do have a few concerns, right, and you addressed some of those, but I think there's a couple more that the plan should consider as they're looking at this, right? Laser tag, I'm glad to hear that it's gonna be silent, right, that there's not, I'm used to arenas where there's big, loud, flashing noises, there's scoring, there's people chasing everything around, so vests and headsets being silent, I like that. The obstacle course for phase 2, right, is it gonna be man-made structures, is it gonna be natural setting, what's that look like, right? That's what is most concerning to me again. And then I think of Ripon College, they said a ropes course, it's, a parking lot now, it's not being used, right? Most concerning is we share about 750 feet of property line to the narrowest part of your lot. And it's also the most terrain, which in my mind, and according to the map, is kind of where zip lines are gonna go. So zip line parks that I'm used to seeing, big landing platforms, big elevated structures, some zipping down multiple runs, makes me a little bit nervous about our privacy that we have, and believe me, I understand it's your property and you can do what you want, but when the leaves fall, I have clean line of sight to Webster's, right? So it's, anything that's up in the trees, it's in that area, it's in our backyard, so that's a little concerning to me. BMX bike tracks, it doesn't sound like we have a real great plan for it. I was a little nervous at first because I think of tracks, it's like clear-cut parks where you're doing races and events and things like that, but if it's trails through the woods, it's not as offensive to me. It's more in line with what we would like to see with that property. But again, I understand it's not anything there. And the glamping, maybe there's some folks that would want to do it. I'm not sure what the draw would be. So obviously, the town of Ripon, we would bring people in and use that. That would all be good. Like you said, minimum setbacks, I'd be interested to know what it looked like on the plot map that we have in there. It's all offset in to some degree. I don't know if there's an ordinance for that or what you had in mind, but again, keeping some sort of buffer. But the commission, I think we all would agree that the best use of that property is some commercial improvement that's on the highway in the B2 district, right? That we're gonna build up some tax revenue with some improvements in that space, and then maybe rezone the back half as R1 or R2 at some point. Obviously, that's the least disruptive to us and gives us the opportunity in the township to have that woods that's there. So that's what I would see being the best use of that property. It kind of feels like it'd be a forced solution, some of these things. I don't know how big the draw will be, but that's me. Ultimately, you guys gotta kind of weigh, the impact to all the neighbors and then what the draw to the community would be with doing that. It doesn't seem like it's going to be any change in the tax base. It's using the space that's there. So if we think that that's the right use of the property, we can go ahead and weigh those options and see what happens. Did I miss anything?
Just also take into consideration the natural benefits of that area right now that are there, the wildlife, the other things that are in that area is important to consider too.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I did have a last line in here. If it does fail, and we do have big structures for the zip lines and stuff, that's something that some residents will have to see, right, if it's visible, right? If that, what do we do with the property if this endeavor doesn't fail, or it does fail, right? And it doesn't work out, what does it look like, and where does that leave us 5 years from now, right? Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Pete Krieger.
Do you want to let Mr. Rogans answer any of them questions that he had, or do you want me to go?
The way the public comment works is everyone makes their statements, you can certainly speak afterwards.
All right, 10-4. Other than N86, 85 Arcade Glen Road, I'm really on the fence with this. I see his point to a certain extent, but my really challenge is the BMX and the glamping part of it. I think there's already an ordinance for no camping in the city of Ripon. I think that's an ordinance already. I don't know why that would be a good thing to start a precedent against that. I don't see any benefit for the city, how they're gonna grab any more revenue. I think if the kids would come there and did zip lining or whatever like that, they should go to the hotels or whatever, and that would be a benefit to everyone, I think. Another thing is, what if someone would get hurt way in the back on the zip line? Is there any access to get ambulance, first responders or anything like that back there? To me, that's a big problem. I've seen a lot of things happen out in the middle of nowhere where you have to get an ATV or whatever to drag them out. I don't mean drag them out, but you know. I guess that would, the glamping would be my real problem. It's in a neighborhood, and if, I don't know, probably 90% of you people already went camping or have been camping. Camping is a pretty party-oriented deal, and it shouldn't be in a neighborhood, I don't think. There's a lot of neighbors around there, and it's a pretty quiet area. I don't think the camping would be the greatest thing for that property. I think the neighbors worry about their property values. If they would want to sell whatever is an amusement, I don't want to say amusement park, but basically that's what it's going to end up if things go the way it is. Is that a good selling point? I don't think that's a good selling point for my house, and I don't know about anybody else, but I just have three things that I would like answered. What's the benefit of the city? What's the benefit that we're going to get as homeowners? Or, you know, is it more tax revenue for the city? And what's the benefit for Mr., I can't remember your
Rogans.
Rogans. I guess that's all I got to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next is David Schrader.
I live on 1223 West Fond du Lac Street. Literally, he shares the driveway with me. I would like to see something done with that, because that driveway, it's just a gravel driveway. It's not gonna hold up to 100 cars a day or whatever he has. He has an easement to the road just down that would connect to the driveway going back to his house. That was my big concern and offense, because, you know, little markers ain't gonna stop people from coming on people's land. I'm just saying that, and if someone gets hurt on my land, then it goes on my house insurance, home insurance. I mean, those are my two real big concerns. And I mean, 3 years ago, we bought this house because it was back in the woods. It was nice and quiet. We had deer in our yard. Turkeys. I mean, I loved it there. That's why I bought the house, because it was way back in the woods, you know, and nice and peaceful. And I just don't want that to change. So, I guess that's, do you have anything else?
Yeah, going back with his, we enjoy the nature. We don't want the loudness of camping, and we've gone laser tagging. My kids scream, like they're excited when they hit somebody. It's just, we don't want our peace and quiet ruined by screaming or yelling and I've never been ziplining, but I know I would scream because my feet are not touching the ground. So if there's, like, we're all for, bringing business into Ripon and all of that. We just want to make sure that all of us still have our peace and quiet because our neighborhood is fabulous. We can sit outside, I don't hear anybody.
Nobody.
It's so nice. So that is our only worry is the noise, the traffic in our easement of the driveway. And I don't want to look at the back of a building. Like, I know I'm right next to the motel, but in the summer, I can't see it. There's trees in between us. So if you're planning on building big structures, if you could keep it as natural as possible, I know that would make us happy. I don't know about anybody else, but that's it.
That's all for me.
Thank you.
All right, next is Brenda.
Redenzo.
Thank you.
I live right next to Pete and Laura at 8593. And my concern, like everyone is saying, is with the glamping. Because right where it says on the map, my fence is right there, and then right there is going to be the glamping. And I agree, people like to party, people like to stay up all night. I go to bed usually every night at 9, which I know nobody cares. I get up at 4:30, I work all the time. And also, where's the parking going to be for all these people? Because it kind of looks like on the map where our houses are, it's going to be open. Are we going to have a bunch of cars now sitting there? Is our forestry going to be gone? Is our wildlife going to be gone? Is our turkeys and deer going to be gone? And I do agree with everyone yelling, screaming. I mean, everyone's here to have a good time. No one's going to be all quiet. And like the laser tag is from, I think it's at 9 a.m. till dusk. Well, in the middle of summer, dusk gets 9:30, 10. Well, I'm in bed, and now we're going to have people getting in cars and leaving and stuff. And I agree with everyone. I like the peace and quiet. I bought it about 3 years ago, and that's the reason why I did. All of us neighbors have respect for one another, and and everything. I used to live in, that was Virginia Meinhofner's house, and I used to live there for 5 years in the basement. And I loved it when I lived there a long time ago. And when this house came open, that's when I bought it. And now I feel like it's going to be stripped away from me. And I just wish it could stay, but I know times are changing and stuff, but I do agree with what everyone has said here. And with the BMX, my concern is this going to change to motorized vehicles? Are we going to listen to revving ATVs and snowmobiles in the winter? And, I don't know if any of that's ever going to change, but I don't want to listen to that either. So, and that's about it. That's all I have.
Thank you. And Mary Smith.
I live at N8579 Arcade Glen Road, and most of my questions have been answered, or my concerns. One that I still have was the BMX, with the activity and noise. The second was, if need be, that you'd have to put a fence if this did go through. Somebody mentioned the orange snow fence. I'm like, I'd have to keep my curtains closed. Seeing this orange fence going across my backyard, because it's, so my yard than the wooded area, so.
Thank you. Mona.
Omen? It's not like the nut. Okay, we purchased our home at N8565 Arcade Glen Road 25 years ago. And our house is on the corner of Planty Drive and Arcade. And our house sits right there in the corner. And then we have a whole nother so we have like 2 beautiful acres. And when we first bought it, everybody was commenting, what a beautiful park you purchased. And it's gorgeous, it's quiet. That wildlife is wonderful. My husband has reached the point where he has to be home a lot. He has a health problem that he can't get out, but he can get on his little golf cart and go up and down. And the wildlife too. He loves wildlife. The birds, the turkeys, the deer, little fox, woodchucks, you name it. But I guess my biggest concern was the glamping also, because where that's proposed, the entire, heading from our house to the east, that's our 2 acres. That would be your glamping boundary. And so that covered quite a bit of our property. And we also have a little 3-car garage, and so part of it would be right behind there also. And again, we were avid campers, and I know how noisy camping can be. People are there to party, they want to stay up all night, and yeah, it would really detract from our beautiful residential neighborhood. And my hope was, I think after Virginia Meyerhofter sold it, I believe Justin Krieger bought it, and he had proposed, possibly apartments or something like that. And, well, that's fine, that's residential, that, it sounds like a good way to go, but this is very scary. And that's what I said, mostly for us, of course, it is definitely the glamping. So, thank you.
Thank you. Last name on the list here is Jen Austin.
Hi, I'm Jen Austin. I live on Highway Drive. I just wanted to voice my concerns. Everybody has pretty much addressed the same things, but I moved out here just over 2 years ago from big city, from Milwaukee. I've been kind of following you on Facebook with all the stuff that you're doing in Green Lake, which is amazing. But I do have concerns, and we kind of have similarities where you are from Illinois and you love the wildlife and everything that Green Lake has to offer, the stream. That's kind of why we're here. We wanted to get away from the city. We wanted to have more acreage, more land. I love our community, and I have not been able to get to meet all of you, but in the last 9 months I've been on a medical sabbatical, so I've been home and being able to walk and get to know my neighbors. Sorry, I'm very emotional. The wildlife has been amazing, very therapeutic for me. Last night we just had the owl flying right in front of the house. We've got turkeys, we've got deer, I've got so many different birds that I can't imagine. I actually feel safe walking in my neighborhood. You don't get that in the big cities. When we heard about this, it really bothers me because it is very loud. Probably last week I saw somebody walking in the backyard, back in the woods, and I'm like, all right, why are there people walking back here? Because this is not, it's not an area where people just kind of wander. Right now it's great because it's green and lush and you can't really see a lot, but come fall when all the leaves drop, and depending on fall, it can come very soon. So that's going to be a very barren, very non-pleasant thing to look at. And with all the traffic and people coming in with the glamping, they're not going to care. They're coming in to have a good time. This is not their area, it's not their neighborhood, so they don't care what they're going to leave it as. And how many campsites do we have in Ripon? I think we checked, it was 140 campsites?
Website said 140
So,
in Ripon and surrounding areas.
There's so many other places for people to go. It's great that you want to come in and help Ripon so that we can make some money and have, a better economy. But I love downtown Ripon. We have small businesses. I think everyone supports one another. And if there's something else that we can figure out together and just kind of make it work for everybody, that would be great. So I just have to be an advocate for the animals and the wildlife because that is something that is very passionate in me. I do a lot of fostering for rescues, and it's going to be very high stress anxiety for dogs. As I walk around the neighborhood, a lot of my neighbors have dogs, and I can hear that they're very high anxiety when they're home by themselves, and having all of that in the back is not going to be good. So I just ask you to take that into consideration.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Did anyone not sign up that wants to speak?
Mayor Grant, I do have one submittal for the record. Yellow House Realty, Lynn Harriet has submitted a letter. If you'd like, I could read it. This letter is to be shared with the Ripon Plan Commission at the public hearing May 15th, 2024. I'm expressing my concern as the current owner of 1295 West Fond du Lac Street. Matt Rogatz's application for a conditional use permit at 1233 West Fond du Lac Street will affect my business. I have been at this location since 2003. I own the building and the land that abuts Matt Rogatz's property. As I read the letter dated April 26, 2024 regarding Matt Rogatz's request, my concern lies with the true intentions are if he plans laser tags, zip lines, BMX biking course, or other recreational uses as this permit would allow. These will be disturbing to my business, the additional traffic in and out of the property, the removal of trees, bushes that provide a buffer, the displacement of wildlife, the possibility of bright lights, loud music, unlawful activity, and litter are very valid concerns to consider with any type of above mentioned. I know that my property values will decrease considerably. In addition to my parcel, there are 17 additional parcels, and the majority are residential properties. These owners deserve to continue enjoying the peace and tranquility they have come to appreciate over the many years of ownership. I'm not in favor of granting the conditional use permit. Thank you for your time and consideration of this matter. Regards, Lynn Harriet. I can come back to it.
Did you receive any other communications?
No other communications have been submitted.
Before we close the public hearing, Matt, would you like to have any general comments?
I would love to.
We will have some direct questions to you when it comes time after the public hearing.
Thank you. First of all, thank you for everybody for coming here and sharing your thoughts, your concerns. They're important to me. And when I came to Green Lake, Wisconsin, I never even knew where Green Lake was 3 years ago. And I came in without knowing the community, without knowing the town, without knowing where it was. And I first and foremost believe not to come in with guns slinging and to help the community and to make it a better place. Not to change it, but to make it better. So I believe in that, not only with Green Lake, but I believe in it with Ripon. Okay? So it's not my intent to come into Ripon and to destroy the wildlife and to bring in loud crowds and to cause problems and havoc and destruction to the community. It's not what I want. What I'm trying to do in Green Lake and in partly Ripon is to bring a year-round destination for people to come and enjoy. Now, for me to do that, I've got to have things to entice people to come in, not only from the area, but also from Chicago, Milwaukee, Madison, because ultimately, I don't know, Ripon's much better off than Green Lake in the wintertime. Green Lake is suffering. There is not much going on in the wintertime, in off-season in Green Lake, Wisconsin. It's depressing. Ripon has a vibrant community, at least in the winter. I'm trying to change that in Green Lake. And one of the ways I can attract people to Green Lake is to have a venue for them to enjoy. So when I was thinking about this venue, 15-acre site, which is beautiful. You're right. You guys are right. I love nature. If I was you guys and I were butting against this beautiful palace of a forestry with wildlife, I wouldn't want to change it either. And if you guys want to partner with me and pay me a lot of money and, protect the area, I'll partner with you. Forget about what I'm doing. We'll just keep it natural. But you got to pay me for that right to have nature. Okay? So it's kind of that cake and eat it too. I want my cake and eat it too. Well, I paid a lot of money for the parcel. And I didn't want it just to sit there so you guys could enjoy it on my dime, on my tax roll. No, I want to do something with it. So, do you want someone to come in and build a building or buildings, residential? You're going to lose all that wildlife. Okay? You are. Because all the houses and whatever, or it's zone B, so business development? No, I don't want to do that.
Highway business.
Highway business. So whatever highway business is, indoor buildings, I think is acceptable use. I don't want to do that. I want to work with the community. Keep it natural. Keep the woods. That's what I want. I want to keep the wildlife. I'm not looking to push them out. Okay? That's not what I want. Okay? But I got to do something with the land. I can't afford it. I can't afford to have it sit there and have you guys enjoy it. I'm sorry. I love that. You guys have every right to want to enjoy it. I agree. But I'm paying for this. Okay, guys? Come on, think if it was you. Come on. I'm just asking you to be reasonable here. Okay? So, and as far as the right way, yeah, I get it. I would have the same concern. There's another curb cut, by the way.
Yep.
All right? So I didn't say I would have to use your driveway.
Okay.
Okay, so, I mean, there's another option.
I was just.
It's a concern, I know. I respect it. I respect your concern. It's important to hear it, okay? But if we get to a point, God willing, where I can make some money on this site, okay? I'm gonna use that other curb cut and bring them in that way. It's a good concern. I would have the same concern, okay? So, and I met with you. I mean, I introduced myself, right?
Yeah.
It's a good concern.
And I said that the first day we met.
Right? So, you guys, it's all great concerns. I'm not disqualifying the concerns. And if you guys want to go partners with me on keeping it natural and give me money and pay my taxes, okay, I'm in. Let's do it. Forget about this. All right?
How much you pay for the property?
3 something?
300?
No,
Just
3 million.
Just so we're clear, this is not your time for question and
I
answer.
understand.
This,
But he
It's
kind
more
of,
than that. It's more than that.
kind of telling me.
Okay, so I'm just saying, and then to carry, you know, it's, if you wanted to buy the property, you could have bought it. All right? It was on the market for a long time.
I've only been here for 2 years.
Okay, but it was on the market longer than that, I think.
Okay.
So anyway, I bought it. And I'm sitting there paying the taxes, and I'm paying the mortgage. Okay, so I gotta do something with it. I gotta do something with it. So if you guys, I'm open. If you guys wanna come up with a better solution, let me know. I'm all ears. Okay? Because I don't care about the community. I really do. When I'm in Green Lake, I ask the community, what do you want me to do with the Goose Plain? What do you want me to do with the hotel? What do you want me to do with the spa? What do you want me to do with the manor on Green Lake? What do you want me to do with the former jail? And I ask the community, what do you want me to do? I ask the town council. I go there, talk to the mayor. What do you want me to do? I'll listen to you. Because what you want is probably good for the community. Okay? So, if you guys have a better idea, give it to me. If you don't, let me do what I'm gonna do. And I promise you, I'll try to keep the disruption to the neighbors at a low. And respect the community, respect the neighbors. That's what we're here for, right? To voice our concerns. To tell me, okay, Matt, these are my concerns. And we can address these things. Amusement park? I'm not gonna have an amusement park. There's not gonna be a music park. No way. Natural woods? Yeah, I wanna keep it natural. I want it to leave the trees. I wanna leave the animals and whatever. I don't wanna disrupt that. Yeah, there's gonna be people on it. I'm sorry. We gotta do something with it. You know, I'm not just gonna have it sit there. So, you know, work with me on it a little bit, okay? That's all. The driveway we talked about, glamping. Okay, I don't need to do glamping, it was an idea. Okay, if someone has a better idea to help me bring revenue, great. Talk to me about it later.
Yes.
Off bar. I would love to hear anyone's idea how I can make money with that property. I'm in, and anyone, I'll give my telephone number, my cell phone number, and you can call me after this, and we can talk about it. Okay, that's great, thank you. And as far as the fence, the orange fence, I mean, it's 15 acres for God's sake. I mean, that's a big site. You're probably not gonna see the fence, okay? So, I mean, if the fence is your biggest problem, I think we're gonna be okay. Yeah, I wanna keep it natural. It's my goal, that's what I wanna do, okay? I don't wanna bring buildings in. I don't wanna do all that. I see the beauty of it. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful site. So let's keep it that way. But if you want to talk to me sidebar, let's do it. I'm in. Okay? So, I think that's it, right? Thank you.
All right.
We're still in the public hearing, correct?
Yes. For another 2 seconds. So the time is now 7:42. I will close the public hearing. And we'll have discussion here. Lud, before we start discussion, can you just go over the differences between conditional use, site plan, what procedures we're discussing at conditional use, what we would discuss later at site plan?
It's here before you on the request for a conditional use permit. In B2, there are specific activities that are permitted, and the applicant is indicating that those are not the activities he's seeking. In looking at the ordinance, I think what he is intending is under the category drive-in theaters and other commercial recreation uses, excepting those which would be offensive by virtue of emission of smoke, noise, dust, vibration, or odor, excuse me. I think that's the one that you are hitting on. Okay, so that's at least clear. And again, probably the initial reaction of council is, city attorney, is the vagueness of the application. And I think that the applicant's comments in response to the concerns of the public suggest that he's open to ideas, but that's not the point of requesting a conditional use. A conditional use is aimed at a use. And the materials that you've been given are kind of all over the place, and he admits that. And he admits that openly in response to the comments of the public. Let me read to you the language where you are to consider as a body uses permitted with conditional use permit. The following uses may be permitted subject to review to determine that their establishment will not be detrimental to the health, safety, or general welfare of the community and neighborhood in which they are proposed. Further, the review shall determine that adequate street, utilities, and drainage are available, that the use will be consistent with the intent of the Ripon Community Development Plan, and that the use will not impede the orderly growth of the neighborhood. In granting a conditional use permit, the Plan Commission may impose site design or operating limitations on the use as needed to mitigate any potential negative impacts of the development. And in his comments that he just made, I don't think this body is in a position to try to, even if it were to consider this to be a conditional use that fits the four corners. How is this body, in granting a conditional use permit, imposing site design or operating limitations when we're talking about four different potential uses of the land in areas that maybe he might use, maybe he might not use, maybe he reconsider? I think he was very honest. I like the honesty that he presented this evening. But I don't think that this conditional use plan that's before you has the detail necessary for you to meet the criteria and establish those parameters to mitigate any potential negative impacts of the development. There's too many, and his comments were straight up, honest as can be. If you can come up with another use, tell me. If we can leave it natural, participate in this thing with me and throw in some dollars, and perhaps we don't need to do this or that or the next thing. I spoke with the city administrator earlier today regarding this, and my concern is we're all over the place in terms of what exactly is being requested of you this evening. If he's going to say, no, the only thing I want is phase one, here's what I want to do with the property, here's the property that's there, now there's a building there, now there's a house, this is what I want to do with that house, and that's it. And that's what I want you to decide this evening. That's a different question. But what's been presented, what's been discussed, takes us into phase 1, 2, 3, maybe 4. And then his comments to the public are, well, maybe not. If you guys can come up with better use, let's take a look at that together. So those are the concerns I have on how this body is going to attempt to evaluate this. So the specifics are important, and that's the challenge for the Planning Commission this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. I'd just like to state that I share the same concerns about the vagueness of the plan. I'm certainly not a no to the plan, but I would like to see more detail. The other concern I have is the residential unit in the middle of the property. It's my understanding that the zoning would prohibit having any residential unit on that property while using it for this use.
E2, so no residential.
So those are my two main concerns.
I agree. I have listened to everybody that spoke, and I've heard the concerns of the noise, the boundaries, will the property values drop, safety, and probably the biggest concern for me is this 15 acres that you have, and we're really not generating any extra tax revenue off of it at this time. I'm not saying it couldn't down the road, but that's a concern for me. And then I had a question for Adam, because Lud read that statement about the developmental plan or the development plan for that area. Mm-hmm. Was there a projected city plan for that area?
It's obviously zoned as B2 highway, so, those are their permitted uses. Generally speaking, you can see them listed in the ordinance of what would be a allowable use. Mm-hmm. That includes anything in a B1 district as well. I know there have been previous attempts to develop the site that included using the property for building and putting apartments, and I believe a Boys and Girls Club was talked about back there at one point. But generally speaking, the zoning code, how it's written, would direct that planning and use, and ultimately a conditional use in this particular case. You see the ones listed here of what the general uses would be allowed. This falls under the conditional use type application of the code, but generally speaking, the city has not done any other planning on this specific site.
Would it be fair to say that from the city's perspective, we would like growth with housing or commercial spaces?
I think...
Is that the intent of that?
I think the zoning code and the intent of the city in my tenure here when dealing with issues like this is highest and best use. What is the highest and best use of the property? That can be multiple different things. It can take factors including, tax base growth, job creation, the lay of the property, how big it is, et cetera, right? So what is the highest and best use for this property? The zoning code sort of sets the parameters of that, but ultimately this body, through either the permitting of a conditional use or rezoning, would make that decision.
And if I remember correctly from talking to the engineers from the previous owner of the property when they were trying to develop it for apartments and other uses, where he's got marked out laser tag and phase 2 with the zip lining. I believe those were the areas of the property the engineers said were virtually unbuildable, so you couldn't really put structures there. So this would give that a use. But again, there are other concerns with the noise. But again, I'd like to see more detail before I'm willing to proceed. That's my opinion.
You looking for a motion?
We can have a motion, or
I'll put my 2 cents in. I think I agree with points that Lud had made in that for a conditional use, it seems to be very helpful for not only us as a commission to see kind of a better outline or a more specific plan, but I also think your neighbors and the people around you would also like to see something that's a little bit more concrete. So that's, again, as Lud said, is if we approve the conditional use as it stands right now, we're kind of saying, yep, go ahead and try, X, Y, Z. Oh, that's the, you can try the zip lines, you can try the BMX, and I don't think that necessarily is aligning with the B2 zoning, and I also don't think that just this body saying, okay, we're gonna approve these trials of certain things without having something a little bit more concrete is necessarily in the best interest of the city as a whole in this portion, especially in relation to the neighbors. So that would be also my opinion, is that those points of maybe having a little bit better or a more concise plan rather than one with so many phases and so many options within it would be more acceptable.
And for clarification, the comment on whether camping is allowed in city limits, I do believe that I recall an ordinance saying there's no camping allowed in city limits.
I believe so. I know the fire, sorry,
No, we set it on the sign
no
outside
campfire.
the city.
There's no
The
campfire.
ordinance thing is no camping. I
Yeah.
remember that specifically.
I believe you might be right. I don't have that in front of me.
So we'll, if we can get that
We can
information.
research that.
Yeah.
How about noise? Is there a?
There's a noise ordinance.
There's a noise ordinance, but it's decibel.
It's a nuisance and
Yeah. Yeah, sorry.
based on, okay.
A little harder to quantify an open space.
Absolutely, yes, yeah.
Open space.
I mean, personally, I feel that there is a way to mitigate a lot of these concerns while allowing a project to move forward. Possibly not the whole thing, but again, devil's in the detail there.
Is this open to everybody to speak now, or
No.
just? Okay.
So it would be my suggestion to ask for the applicant to bring us back more detailed information for reconsideration. But that's my suggestion.
So, be a motion to.
If you'd like to make the motion.
I would like to make a motion to deny the conditional use permit for 1233 Fond du Lac Street of Matt Rogatz, as presented.
Second.
Another question for you on procedure. If it's denied, does he have to reapply with a new fee, or can he come back with more information?
He needs to reapply with a new fee.
Could we
you could add to the motion.
Would you be willing to rescind the motion and ask this to be delayed for more information? So he does not have to resubmit.
I will rescind the motion and ask for a delay for the conditional use permit for 1233 Fond du Lac Street. With a delay for reconsideration.
I think the first motion is more clear, the application's here. If he chooses to come back and add detail or move it around, I think the first motion is appropriate, and if you want to tag on the motion, to waive the fee, to make your first motion, waive the fee if he brings back more detail.
For one free submission.
One free submission. I think that's more accurate. He's here for an up or down vote on what he's presented. That's why he presented it. Now, he may have second thoughts after this evening. He may have third thoughts. But that's more clear in terms of the action of the money.
Okay, so let's see if I get this right.
Yeah.
I will remake my first motion to deny the conditional use permit for 1233 Fond du Lac Street, and put a note that one resubmission to this body with a waived fee will be under consideration, if so given to us.
I'll agree to that.
Okay.
Second.
Is that clear to everyone? Okay. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor of denial of the conditional use permit with the caveat of a...
Let's take a roll call, just so it's clear.
With a no charge resubmittal. Adam?
Grant,
Yes.
Dankert,
Yes.
Mathias,
Yes.
Bosco John,
Yes.
Split,
Yes.
motion carries.
And Matt, I would hope to see a resubmittal.
God willing.
But thank you for
No,
presenting.
thank you for your guys' time.
Thank you for hearing us.
All right. So moving on to our next item is a CSM submitted by the City of Ripon for Aspen Street DPW facility. This is combining two properties into one for the future home of the new DPW facility.
Thank you.
Hey, Matt.
Thank you, guys.
Brad is here with Ari Smith. Sorry. So get back to our meeting.
Is that why he didn't come?
I had some thoughts.
Thought it would be a little inappropriate.
So obviously the city has been working on if you want to ask them to. So the city is obviously working on a plan to construct a public works garage down on Aspen Street near the site of the existing facility. A part of that was the acquisition of a lot on Aspen Street that abuts the site that was a separate parcel. In working through the plan with SEH and R.A. Smith, it became apparent that we would be building across a property line. So we had a survey CSM done to combine the lots into one lot, two lots into one lot. So as you can see here, if you look at the big screen, this lot 2 is now going into a giant lot that crosses the creek and is a giant campus for public works. So I think back here is the dump site, and then a little bridge that crosses, and then you have the wastewater treatment plant, water offices, and then the existing the existing buildings. Am I missing anything, Brad?
No.
So this, you know, it basically connects the dots and puts all the pieces together for the project.
Is the compost site currently one parcel with the DPW site? The part north of the stream there?
Yes. Yeah, and everything north of the street, as you see it, it's 99% is the.
So it's just that little
Just that
rounded part at the
little
bottom?
gravel parking lot area up front is
That's what's getting added.
getting
Mike's
added
lot.
if you,
Not mine. You go.
So we'd just be looking for a motion to approve the CSM to allow us to build over the property line, which is no longer a property line.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second. Go ahead.
Any discussion? Hearing none.
pretty
all-
straightforward. Yeah.
The city owns both sides already. If there's no more discussion, all those in favor of approving the CSM, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That is approved. All right, next item is the site plan for the new DPW facility.
This one has about 100 pages. I don't think we're gonna go through all of them, but obviously, again, we've been planning a project on this site. Brad, certainly you can help out wherever.
I would go to the next one,
Next
probably.
one, yep, okay, this one's a good one.
So in,
Sorry.
close enough.
Okay, I can zoom it out if you need to get it all on there.
Okay, so 3 buildings right here on the perimeter of the site. And there's 3 buildings in the interior of the site. This is the large public works facility right here. This is right next to that. There's the brine tank right there. This is cold storage. There's another building, a long cold storage building up here. Just so you kind of are oriented with where it is. Here's Aspen Street coming in. Here's the gate. This is the gravel parking lot area here. There's a berm that goes along right here, 6-foot high berm or something like that. And some overhead wires, there's a water main under there. This is the new building right here, standalone building. The site is going to be kept operational while we're building this, so we'll have perimeter, a fence around to keep the phase 1 construction area accessible while allowing this to be operational as well. There's going to be a stormwater detention pond back here. Everything flows to the north towards the creek. We're providing peak flow reduction and total suspended solids reduction in this pond right here. It will be standing water in it. It's a wet pond, which you've seen. That's what settles out the suspended solids. The parking for the site for the new building is in front right here. Small little parking lot. There will be interior storage, heated storage for vehicles that'll come in on this side and drive through one way out this way. This is for maintenance bays and everything over here. The office portion is up in front. This will all end up being heavy-duty asphalt in the end. Once this has got occupancy and they're moved in, these 3 buildings are coming down, and I think this one's coming down as well.
That's not the...
No, that's the salt shed.
It'll
That's
be
staying.
Okay, that one's
One
staying.
north.
This one's
That
staying.
one.
Yeah.
This one's going.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah. The salt shed stay in. The brine tank is moving from over here to there. Here's where the generators and the transformer are going to be.
Employee parking up
Yeah,
to
there's
there.
employee parking in that area. There's going to be some concrete bins for additional storage of material here. And in the middle of the site, we did a truck turning template to show, we do this in AutoCAD to show the size of the vehicles that they can maneuver around, because this is going to be concrete with bins, the type of, you've seen with the concrete blocks, and they can store topsoil, gravel, what have you in there. So that's about 100 by, what are they, 16 feet deep, so 100 by 32 in the site. And this has been, we've gone through with Adam and Alan as far as what the site is, what their requirements are, what they want for some months now. And had reviews, this is something that they've made comments on probably 3 or 4 times to fine tune the site. Obviously, the overhead wires are getting relocated. There's a water main there that's getting relocated. The underground utilities that go through there being relocated as well, because that serves a lot, it serves back here. Aspen Street, this is in dark, so here at Commercial, I think, this is the fire station right here, if I'm mistaken. That intersection right there will be new pavement all the way to there, because it doesn't make sense to try to save any of this. It's going to be beat up during construction, I would imagine. So I'll cut back to here, and this will be new pavement. New pavement to here with an access off here that isn't there currently, off of this, which is actually right away. So they'll have access here and here. It'll be gated, and there'll be remote operators to open the gates, so that which there is currently right now an operator over there, so that there's that security. And there's a bid alternate to mill and replace all the way back to the treatment plant. I can't think of anything right now. Site lighting, there's going to be lighting around there. Some off the building, but there will be light poles around there. I think they're bringing lighting to the salt shed, I think, for night operations, make it easier on that. This is the site plan. The rest of it is utility and grading. I don't think any.
They all look the same, but they're different.
Yeah. Profiles of the storm and the water and landscape plan. Actually,
Where's
that's not
that
part
one?
of mine.
Is that one
I was
right?
looking for it and I couldn't find it.
No, the landscape is part of the architectural set. Yeah, so we don't have landscaping on there, but in general, what is it? Oh, that's my stormwater management report.
Yeah, just whatever, it's fine.
Actually, well, not for stormwater, but I was talking with Alan about how they currently wash trucks out in like the gravel area. I think they're putting wash bays in the new building, is that correct? So there'll be a lot less of the salt and stuff going right down into the river there.
Trying to see if there's a building plan, no building plan.
I didn't send you that. If you got it from Trevor.
Let me see if I can find one.
Okay. But yeah, there is a wash bay as part of it on the north side of the new building. So yeah, that'll be done inside.
I don't know what they building compared to the one they're going to get lost in there.
Don't go out of the offices.
How does the security fencing, I mean, obviously the front of the building will be accessible to the public.
Yeah.
So it's in that back corner yet, and then it will tie in? So,
Let's go to it.
yeah, I'm just curious on how
There's a fenced entrance to the north of the building and to the west of the building.
Yeah, so if you're coming up on Aspen,
Yeah.
and you're at the gate right now, the new building is, the northeast corner of it is gonna be pretty close to that.
right to it, yes.
And so the fence will tie to the building.
Okay, yeah.
Right, so, and then you'll have the gate going across. And then it's a fence around the property pretty much.
Most of it's fenced?
Most of
Oh,
it,
yeah,
yeah. I don't think it goes all the way around. Of course, you got the creek there.
Yeah.
So it ties in the northeast corner of the building there.
So you'll have a gate coming across right here, this corner, and it'll open up this way. And then it comes around and we'll have a fence in between the yard and the pond. There'll be a fence. And I think the fence will stop somewhere in here because I do think that the fence stops right there now. Then they can store some stuff back in here, I believe.
Yeah.
Then on this end, if you scroll down a little bit, well, there's a fence that comes across all the way right here. Right, this is how it goes now. Okay, we're going to tie in on this side right here and bring it around like this and then across here and into the building, and here will be the second gate. So the gate will be for the treatment plant and for this second exit entrance to the yard.
Okay. Is it common to fence around? I mean, with the day and age of cameras and everything, is it still common?
The biggest thing is the wastewater treatment plant.
Okay.
We've had issues there where
yeah.
wildlife and domestic animals have gotten through and ended up in the treatment
Okay, so that's the
it's not
reason to
good.
keep them
Yeah,
out of the,
yeah, it's just-
gotcha.
there's-
All right,
And
that's
generally
fine.
people too, we don't want people in the middle of the night.
But I didn't know if we were gonna be cameraed around there.
We have security plans,
Yeah,
but,
okay.
you know,
Yeah.
Good point then.
It's pretty
with
common to
the-
have.
the falling in,
it would, yeah, there's been some
Okay.
horror stories. Let me see if I can just pull the,
Like building plan.
I think I have it somewhere, but,
And the 6th, did Jim send you something on the 6th? The Todd, it would have been Todd Clark, right? Maybe he sent you something on the 6th?
I got the 90% right here if it wants to. I don't know why it's not open.
Because it's a huge file.
Probably.
We've made the permit applications that we need to for the water, for the storm, those have been made to the DNR. So we're in the process. Once we have it back in, but we anticipate getting those soon. Permits, state permits, but that's what I mean by that.
Oh, come on, let's see. No, it's not letting me do this. I don't know if I'll be able to download it. Sorry, it's not letting me download it, but
Stop down at the office, Alan's got a copy.
I got it on my other computer, and it's just, I don't know why.
Well, in any case,
Yeah,
any discussion or
yeah,
motions
so-
to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve
Site plan.
site plan. Thank you.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the site plan for the 570 Aspen Street, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That is approved. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Project updates and staff reports. Sue, anything from you?
Nope.
Adam?
We will meet next month, so we'll have a conditional use application as well as a rezone. So just mark your calendars, and then we'll revisit some of the things we talked about in the past couple of months with the outdoor cafes and stuff. We'll bring those back. We just didn't know how long this was going to be, so.
That's fine.
And
That's all I
really,
have.
any changes to those ordinance would be for effect next year anyways, because people
Right,
are already
they
making
already-
their applications for this year.
By the time you get through the process.
Yeah, so we have a little time on that. All right, if there's nothing else, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor of adjournment, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We're adjourned at 8:14.